proud to be who I am, and I'm proud to be where I'm going. And that's shaped around my mental fortitude. And so when we say we're on a mission to help 1 million people elevate their mental fortitude so they can conquer the real world, every single one of those will have a mental motto that grounds them when they need it most.
The mental motto is definitely a powerful tool. I like it because what it really does is it inspires people to be present. And I assume that the mental motto is not just about being present, it's about reminding yourself of who you are. All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I'm your host, Vin, and
I'm Shane.
And today we are joined by my men. Guys, this is the first time we're doing like a quadcast. We got, right, the quadcast, not a podcast. I love it. Oh my God, wait, is that why it's a podcast? Because it's usually two people?
I mean, sometimes pods are 2 or 3.
That's an I actually, now we got to all figure out what the hell is the origin of the podcast. If any of you listeners know, drop it in the comments. But today we're doing the quadcast. We got my man Sam and Parker on with us. Guys, welcome to the show.
Vin, Shane, what's going on? I've never heard the term quadcast, but I think we need to steal that too. And I think I need to do my own research on podcasts because I have no idea how that name came about. But guys, great to be here. Sam and I are so thrilled to get into a good conversation, a little bit more about who we are and what we're about. So Sam and I are best friends. We're also co-founders of Elevation Nation. We're on a mission to elevate the mindset of 1 million people to utilize their mental fortitude so that they can go conquer the real world. And the way we do that is through our podcast. We've released 400 episodes to date. We interview young people who are go-getters, entrepreneurs, Olympians, professional athletes, health gurus, people who are just utilizing their mindset so that they can go out and honestly get the most out of life. And then on top of that, we're public speakers. We speak around the country. We just came back from an incredible conference down in New Orleans. Never been before. It was pretty special. But we do a 45 to hour long workshop all around mental fortitude. And so, yeah, guys, it's great to be here. We have a lot to get into, I imagine.
Oh, for sure. Mostly around everything you just described, because on our podcast, our listeners are brought some of the most amazing people building the most amazing things. And I was on your podcast. Shout out to that. Everybody go listen. We're doing a swap here, but it was a great time. These guys are phenomenal hosts and they have an amazing community. So I know that the mission is to impact 1 million people, but why is that the mission? Where did this come from?
Well, it's a great question and so honored and excited to be here. Obviously, again, with you, Vin and Shane, hyped to meet you and get to know you a little bit better. I want to throw it back to graduation from 2018, University of Maryland. Parker and I had done everything. I'm doing air quotes if you're not watching on YouTube. Right. My parents told us to go to a good school, get a good degree. I was a tour guide on campus. We got internships. We were in a fraternity. We did what we were supposed to do. And we were rewarded for it. We got that full-time job in Big Four consulting that everybody in our school wanted to get, moved to New York City and DC respectively, and started in the real world. And about not even a month in, I looked at Parker and I was like, dude, why does this suck so badly? Are you struggling as much as I am? Like, I thought I was a mover and shaker in high school and college. I was always the guy. You were always the guy. We got this incredible job and now we're nobody. And not even that, we're nobody with nowhere to go. I don't know what I'm doing for the next 40 years of my life. Is this the path I'm about to be stuck in? Is this what I busted my butt for years to get this job? To what avail? Like, is this the life I'm about to get stuck in? And I vividly remember flashing back to, luckily not my parents, but a close friend's parents, who both were extremely successful lawyers. And they would wake up every morning at 5 a.m., take the 5:45 train downtown to the city of Chicago. They never came back in time for dinner, but they left $40 on the counter so that their kids could order pizza every night. And as a kid, I thought that was so cool because we got to get pizza every night I went to my friend's house. But as I got older, I realized that they were stuck in this rat race that they couldn't get out of. They bought the boat, they bought the nice house, but they never saw their kids. And so that was my biggest fear coming to fruition for me. looking down the next 40 years of my life, being miserable, getting stuck in a job that I hated. And so I said, Parker, we have to do something about it. And that's where Elevation Nation was born.
You know what's really interesting? I did my newsletter on the 1st of April. And turns out that April, I didn't know this. I was trying to look for things to write about. April is actually designated the month of hope, if you guys didn't know that before. So I found that to be fascinating. And one of the biggest things that came to my mind in writing this newsletter was the experiment about hope with the rats that were in the buckets that the guy drowned. And if any of you listeners are not familiar with this, they had rats in buckets. And unfortunately, this guy, to do this experiment, let some rats drown. And then he was trying to prove that there are things that differentiate, like survival, resilience, grit, toughness. And one of the biggest things that he found is when these rats were about to drown, some of them, he would reach in, he would pull them out, he would let them recover, rest, and then he put them back in the bucket. And the amount of time that they would tread water before giving up and surrendering to die almost tripled to quadrupled, because they got this divine intervention of hope and they were grabbed and they were saved before. And the reason that I'm saying this is because I think it's very interesting that we refer to the rat race of life, because my mind goes, you're in this rat race, you're stuck in the cycle, you need this income to live, you can't take a chance, there is no hope. And we know that the most powerful emotion any human could utilize is hope. So I love your story about the realization of the rat race. And I feel like in that story and the understanding that life, quote unquote, is a rat race, we need to find the ways out. And you guys have been building just that. So can you guys walk us through a bit of your model? How do you guys do it? What do you guys speak about? Like, why are you guys some awesome, authoritative people to listen to on this?
It's a great question. I mean, for the first year when Sam came to me, he's like, dude, I'm miserable. And I was like, I'm miserable too. And we did what every 23-year-old does at the time. We went to a condo that my mom has, and we said, you know what, we're going to lock ourselves in this condo and we're going to figure out the meaning of life. 23 years. Figure out the meaning of life rather than going out in the city, hanging out. We're like, yep, we're going to go buy some stickies and mind map on my mother's like doors, glass doors. And obviously we didn't find the meaning of life, but we did think of something that resonated very deeply. And that is this concept that we call mental fortitude. And so we think that mental fortitude is within every human. But mental fortitude isn't built up and understood as well as it needs to be, especially among young people. And that was what we needed more than ever. We needed some mental fortitude to push through that adversity that we've been feeling, the discomfort that we've been feeling, or even the pushingness of us into the comfort zone. Because wow, like, yeah, life's challenging, but we're just going to stay in the comfort zone and not push ourselves out. And so we think of mental fortitude as that way to get out. And obviously mental fortitude, you can look it up into a dictionary, you look it on Google, but we break it down into 3 pieces, simple framework: who you are, what you want out of life, and what inspires you. And those 3 pieces build your mental fortitude. We think that if people can know who they are, what they're good at, what they're not good at, what their vision is for life, what they want out of life, and what inspires them, and they know that really well, more than anything else, that they, when hard times inevitably come, can utilize that work and that mental fortitude framework to push through, eventually getting you back on course and probably elevating a lot more than you were before.
I like the fact that you use the word framework, especially because I'm the oldest guy in this group here, but your priorities change throughout life. A ship is safe on the docks, but that's not what it was built for. But I also want to talk about that mindset shift that you guys had, especially at so young, at 23, to say that you guys were miserable and then did something about it. We talk about the leap of becoming a business owner or an entrepreneur, and it's risky. And not a lot of people do it, right? Especially not very young. people that have dreams and ambitions, they tend to push them aside because they're getting a cushy job, because they're getting paid a high salary. They're doing that essential rat race, whether they had kids early on or they had marriages or responsibilities. But that's what I want to go back into that framework, especially because as the years progress, your responsibility changes. It's still important to have those fundamentals down. So I'm curious on, I want to bring it back down here. The mindset that you guys had to build this podcast, to build this business, to change and affect 1 million people's lives, has your priorities shifted in the last I'm assuming 4 or 5 years of running this entire podcast? Has your message shifted since the last 4 years?
I think there were a couple points I want to hit on there, Shane. To address your direct question, absolutely. Right. Parker recently got married. It wouldn't be a podcast if Parker didn't mention that he just got married. So have to drop that in there for him. Very excited for him. We love Mrs. Elevation Nation. She allows us and myself to steal most of Parker's time from her. And so JJ has been a huge rock for not just Parker, but for myself and in growing Elevation Nation. I think priorities certainly shifted, right? Parker has a relationship that he needs to nurture. I moved to a new city and Parker moved to a new city in the past 5 years. We went from doing this project in hiding behind our employer's back because we thought we'd get in trouble to now partnering with our employer. And they are sending us around the country and the world to help elevate the mindset of new people that join our company. And so to, again, go back to your question directly, absolutely. Our mindsets have shifted. Mental fortitude is not just something that you set it and forget it. Parker and I are consistently going back to our own purpose, our own mission, our own reason, and our own mindset as our priorities change. So I think that's been really important for us to evolve with this, right? We're not 22-year-olds with no idea about life anymore. We're now 29-year-olds with a slight idea about life. And we know that in a few years, we're going to be even older with hopefully a better idea of what we want out of life. And so again, using that mindset, we know we're going to evolve and grow together. And I'm just very lucky that I get to do it with my best friend, and we haven't beat each other up yet. So that's good.
I mean, Sam wants to get me in the boxing ring. He's taking up boxing. I'm a runner. So like I ran a marathon and I'm like, Sam, you got to do something crazy. So he's like, all right, I'm going to go get punched in the face 3 times a week. So we're waiting for that moment where we can get in the ring together. But I would, Sam, I think I need some training before we make that happen. But Shane, also to add to your question, like what's crazy among all this change in our life, the framework has remained the same.
That's where I was going.
Sam and I spent 9 months before we released the first episode. We wrote like a manifesto essentially of Elevation Nation. What is it going to be? Who are we targeting? Why do they need mental fortitude? Breaking down mental fortitude, different exercises before we ever brought it to light. And what's crazy is we're so passionate about it because it's worked obviously well for people who listen to the podcast, who we speak to, but it's working for us. We're relying on our own mental fortitude to elevate, and we're feeling that along the way. And so, yes, life has changed, but the framework has remained the exact same from the beginning.
And I think that's how it should be too. You guys are actually walking the walk. I mean, it's just really refreshing to actually hear. For the people, 90% of the people that listen to our podcast are entrepreneurs or trying to become entrepreneurs or business owners, whatever that may be. What advice, mental advice, can you give them? I mean, whether they're in that 9 to 5 and they're trying to build something on the side, or whether they need to jump both feet into the entrepreneurship realm and saying, go for it. What type of mental advice can you give them to essentially say, go after it, just do it? Nike, don't sue us, please.
Parker's looking at his bookshelf because I feel like he's going to pull some book out to comment on this. But I think
I saw him look over too.
Yeah, he was checking to see what title resonated most with him. I think the main thing that I would emphasize is not everyone's path looks the same. And to keep and continue to go back to your why. When Parker and I started Elevation Nation, we had a previous company and we got very, as a 22-year-old does, that was in business school, that wrote business plans. Like they told us, how are you going to be profitable? Figure out your margins. What's your operating model, right? So I treated that with Parker and we were like, all right, we got to make money. We started making money. And then we realized we hated that company too. Like what we had just traded all our time from a corporate company into another area that wasn't fun anymore because we were focused on money. And so that gave us the hard lesson. We took a step back and we said, in this next company, what is our goal with Elevation Nation? It was to travel the world and speak and mentor other people. We just got back from New Orleans. I got to eat crawfish with my best friend and speak in front of 1,500 people. Cross that off the list, right? Mentor and be mentored. We get to mentor young people all the time. We got to get mentored by Vin, by having him on the podcast. And Shane, we get to learn from you. Okay. Cross that one off the list. And one thing that is in our actual operating agreement for our company that I think is so important, it was no matter what, our friendship comes first. And again, we learned that lesson the hard way when we ran into some bumpy roads and butted heads with some people in our previous business. And we said, no matter what, does not matter how profitable we are, our goal is to maintain our friendship. We will dissolve the company if the friendship is being compromised. And so, long story short, I would just like to encourage people to go back to your original why. Why did you want to be an entrepreneur? Is it to be profitable? Is it to learn? Is it to meet people? Is it to have a place to pour your passion? And keep going back to those original missions that you had. That way you don't have to go on anyone else's path. Because for us, you know how many times people have told us, take the leap. Why are you still in your 9 to 5? You should have jumped years ago. Joke's kind of on them. We're now partnering with one of the largest consulting companies in the entire world, and they're having us speak to thousands of people now because we stayed. And so everyone has a different path. Just try to find yours.
I'm definitely curious. I think one of the biggest things that comes with a coaching consulting company, there's a few different ways that you can always build one, right? And like one of it is about a specific coaching methodology. One of it is about teaching a framework. One of it could be about embracing more of like a motto and a way that you show up. And so as you guys are building Elevation Nation, what is your sauce? Do you guys do a framework? How do you teach? How do you coach? How do you speak? Like, what do you guys got going on there?
Well, there's a couple things, right? I think one pillar of way we work with people, particularly Vin, you saw it a little bit on the podcast, but in our keynote, you'll see it a lot, is we always lead with vulnerability, and we are straight up and get very vulnerable and real in all of our conversations that we have with our guests, as well as people we work with, because vulnerability up front will breed credibility. We say that all the time. And to really get deep into who we are, what we want, and what inspires us, right? The foundation of mental fortitude, you got to get vulnerable with yourself. You got to think about that hard shit that's happening in your life. You got to think about the amazing stuff too. But you got to get past that fence that's holding you, just saying, you know what? I know that's tough. I know that scares me. I don't want to think about that. No, we're encouraging people that elevating happens on the other side of looking deep and looking within yourself and being real. And then on top of that, obviously, there's the framework of mental fortitude, who you are, what you want, and what inspires you. But what we have as a call to action for every single person we work with is a mental motto. And Vin, I know you shared a mental motto with us on our podcast, but everyone who works with us gets their own mental motto. And that's a simple phrase, quote, slogan, sentence that they live their life by. And as simple as it is, a couple words, it is a reminder of people's mental fortitude. For me, my mental motto is proud to be. And I'm proud to be me. I'm proud to be where I came from. I'm proud to be where I'm going. And my parents instilled this within me when I was very young. But it's more than just like a sticker, right? It's really something meaningful to me, because when I'm in the thick of it and things are hard and Sam's not there, my mom's not there, my wife's not there, right? Like, and I'm sitting down and I'm like, shit, this is hard, man. I'm upset. I'm pissed. Whatever it might be, I'm reminded proud to be. And for me, that is, I'm proud to be where I came from. I'm proud to be who I am, and I'm proud to be where I'm going. And that's shaped around my mental fortitude. And so when we say we're on a mission to help 1 million people elevate their mental fortitude so they can conquer the real world, every single one of those will have a mental motto that grounds them when they need it most.
So the mental motto is definitely a powerful tool. I like it because what it really does is it inspires people to be present. And I assume that the mental motto is not just about being present, it's about reminding yourself of who you are genuinely, deep in your soul, not just the person that might be embracing fear or I don't know, what, anxiety, sadness, whatever comes up. And so what exactly inspired that to be the main framework, right? Like, because there's a million things that you could go with out there. This is the one, though. This is what you guys settled on. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I'm just curious, like, how did you figure out the profound effects of a mental motto?
Well, I think it was first figuring out the profound effects of mental fortitude and realizing that that framework is too long to summarize in a nice way. So we needed something else, right? When we first started, when Parker, hinted at the fact, we literally bought a stack of Post-it notes, went to his mom's condo in the middle of winter in Ocean City, Maryland, and all our friends were hanging out like in the city. We're like, we're not leaving. We're staying in this condo until we figure this out. And it started, our first idea, I will never forget this. It was a compass. And the analogy we kind of came up with was your entire life. We still use this sometimes. You have a parent, a GPS in your ear telling you what classes to take, when to turn left, when to turn right. And we were like, as a young adult, you don't have that GPS anymore. What do you have? You have a compass. And we came up with this whole framework. I was doing crazy shit. Like, all right, I'm going to take a step north.
You were walking.
I was like, all right, I'm stepping north, and that's myself. And then I step to the east, and that's my vision. And then we go south, and that's my fuel. And west is the people before me. Like, we were trying to come up with some crazy stuff. And again, as we iterated and evolved, it was, okay, 4 is too many. I know a compass is nice. We don't need another analogy in this thing. Mental fortitude is 3 parts: yourself, your vision, what fuels you, what inspires you. Cool. What does that all lead to, right? We're speaking around the country now. We have conversations every week with a new guest. Sure, they can get the framework, but what do they have that resonates with them? And we had a huge mentor in our life who's been coaching us for years. And he was like, guys, they just need something simple, something to take away. And to your point, Vin, it reminds them of who they are, but I'll take it a step further. It also challenges our young people to get vulnerable with themselves, because coming up with one phrase that can embody you as a human being, these kids aren't doing that anymore. And maybe we never did either. But I feel like with social media, COVID, a lot of these kids have lost that emotional intelligence that many of us grew up getting by playing outside with our friends, by having adversity thrown at us. We have a lot of helicopter, and a new term we learned, snowplow parents, where they pave the path in front of the child to make it as easy and painless as possible.
Interesting.
And so these kids are growing up with no adversity thrown in their face and no one making them figure out who they are. It's other people telling them who they are. And so for us to sit down with these kids, to be perfectly honest, I don't care what your mental motto is. I care that you take the time to think about a mental motto, because I'm teaching you how to be vulnerable as a human being and be introspective. And to me, that's the number one skill that these kids take away.
Go ahead, Shane.
I was just saying I resonated a lot with what Parker was saying, the proud to be. And to be honest, having you guys on here, I can not only hear, I could see the passion, right? And I think once again, I use the word refreshing, but you just don't see that. It's same thing. It's walking the walk. Like you guys, like you have this, not only you've said it a million times, but you're living it, you're breathing it. My question is because, and I really want to get towards, it sounds like your demographic is almost niche to, the younger demographic and finding out their why and their purpose and what they want. I'm curious first off, are you niche? Are you going after, anybody who is looking to essentially establish themselves and, create their why and their purpose? Is this directed towards businesses or entrepreneurs even? And what about successful people whose things have already shifted and changed, who has a why, who's accomplished their dreams, their ambitions, but they're content. Like, what about reestablishing a purpose for the people that have already accomplished the things they've accomplished? I know that was a lot going on in there too, but I'm just excited.
I mean, it's a great question. I think that's something Sam and I are continuously asking each other is,
I was about to say, can we get some free coaching, some business coaching here as we figure out our demo?
Something that we're really working with is, Sam and I, when we first started Elevation Nation, we were the people that we were speaking to, right? Like, we were our own audience in a sense because we needed help. And so we were convincing people to come on our podcasts and give us advice. And we just so happened to share that advice with other young people, particularly who had just graduated college, joined the real world. Obviously, we're not in that world anymore. But the message of mental fortitude, Sam and I think, can resonate with many human beings of all demographics, right? To know who you are, what you want out of life, and what inspires you. I don't care if you're 15 years old or you're 85.
Right.
Those are important conversations. Granted, like, most of our workshops are for high school, college, and young professionals.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're meeting people like Vin, who comes on our podcast. He's not necessarily.
Are you calling Vin old, Parker? Tread lightly,
I never said that. I never said that.
Yes.
I never said that at all. I just said maybe not necessarily in the high school demographic or college demographic. See what I did there? But now we've met 200 plus incredible entrepreneurs and people who are utilizing their mindset every day. And so while we're not necessarily going and doing our keynote for all of those 200 people, we have an incredible community of all like-minded people who are thinking about things like that. And so we do another amazing thing within Elevation Nation that Sam and I do on the back is just connect incredible people with incredible people. And that is a whole nother part of our business at Elevation Nation.
I like that you're building a community. I'm curious because we've talked about this with some other people. How do you foresee AI impacting what you guys are doing now with speaking, with coaching aspect, with consulting, building your communities? Like, what do you see coming?
Parker's the AI guy. I know it's my turn to answer, but
Hey, no
he's the king
turns.
of AI.
There ain't no turns here, but I'm curious what you think about AI. I mean, I'm always the one talking about it, Sam.
I was very resistant. Parker started to bring AI into some of our operations and workflow. And I was like, dude, you're being lazy. Just get our shit done. Like, we don't need ChatGPT to do this. Now I absolutely love it. When we are making outlines for a guest, we'll throw it in ChatGPT. We now have leaned a ton into LinkedIn writing, and it helps me just come up with some ideas. I do this Mindset Monday post that I do every Monday. And it just helps. I write them still, but it's hard to come up with a mindset tip every day on Monday. So sometimes it's nice to lean in on AI. Where I think we're headed is I think people are going to be desperate for human connection more than ever. COVID hinted at that. It gave us a taste of what it felt like to not be as connected with other people, working closely with other people, seeing and interacting with other people. And I think that was a little teaser to say, like, you thought this was bad. Wait till AI and you have 0 coworkers and your CEO is a computer. Like, we could be in that world quicker than we know it. And so I think as Parker and I evolve our business, the core to what we do is we love human beings. We love people. We love mentoring people. We love talking to people. We love hearing their stories, and we love connecting people. So I think as we are growing, I mean, I'll give a hint and I'll speak for Parker. Parker's dream is to open a summer camp retreat for people, to bring people together. That is certainly on our horizon as we continue to throw events in New York and DC on the Eastern Seaboard. Parker just wants to be a camp counselor again. I think that's where we're probably going to take this business one day.
Love it.
I mean, you're not wrong, but one thing we do, guys, is the podcast. Sam's in DC. I'm in New York City. Obviously, is virtual. Speaking gigs in person. You got to feel that energy in person, and it is so different if we did a speaking gig on a Zoom or something. Like that is one thing that is like a non-negotiable for us. If you want us to come elevate you or your people, fly us out and bring us in, because you cannot replicate how that experience is when it's in person. It is special. And there ain't no technology or AI that's going to replace that in-person connection that people get.
What about VR?
VR. Depends how real it is, right? I mean, how
Go get your headset, Parker.
Wherever it is, it hasn't been charged in like 2 years. But you know, when Sam and I get on a stage, it's not just us talking to a microphone. It's a workshop. There are interactive elements to it. I am literally, one day, I say this all the time, I joke on stage, I'm going to do a backflip off the stage, and then I'm going to run through the crowd. I was doing a lot of running through the crowd in New Orleans this past week, but I'm going up to people, giving them the microphone. Here, you take the microphone, introduce yourself to a room of 500 people you've never met before. Oh, and by the way, your mental fortitude workbook right there is in front of you. Pick it up and show us. Read us what you wrote. And then your mental motto sticker. You know what? Take that sticker and slap it on your computer. I don't know. VR would be a little challenging to replicate that.
So go ahead, Shane. I saw you had something.
Well, I feel like you set that question up for me to talk about AI.
I didn't, but you may go ahead.
It's difficult. So I own a virtual assistant company, and I have over 500 virtual assistants employed with me. And I feel like we've been adopting AI for 16 months because if you don't learn to use it, it's going to phase you out. So I personally think that business owners, because that's my demographic, business owners hire my virtual assistants to offset their tedious mundane tasks. They're still going to be utilizing that human element, because at the end of the day, that's what business owners do. They delegate. Are they going to learn, AI, the software? Sure. But what are they really going to want? They're going to want to offset it to somebody who knows the software to do the job for them. So I think utilizing AI in a business facet isn't going to go anywhere anytime soon. Is it going to probably eliminate blue collar industries, white collar industries with robotics that are infused with AI? That's a whole other conversation. But yes. Now, when it comes to yours, I think when it comes to the brain and human society in general, they're going to crave that more, because people are already doing this. They're already doom scrolling. They're already on their phone. They're already escaping reality. And that's why your position is going to come even stronger. Vin and I talk about the importance of networking, of meeting face to face, of shaking hands, of exchanging things, because it's still the most crucial thing about business, is, shaking somebody's hand. Does this do it? Sure. But face to face is the way to go, especially when it comes to motivation, especially when it comes to making a true impact. So I definitely agree with you guys, but your jobs, it's not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to skyrocket and go through the roof, especially with the younger demographic. And to be honest, after hearing you guys, I personally think successful owners, successful entrepreneurs, it's no different. What you guys are doing is just a re-trigger. It's just changing the actual mindset into getting the vigor back, into getting someone's purpose back of what they're passionate and what they're excited about. And I just got that from just listening for you guys for the last 7 or 8 minutes. Not saying that I'm successful, but I feel like when you have an establishment, I feel like that's what it is. Just talking to you guys almost kind of like reinvigorated things with me. I like it. Sorry,
like
there was no
too.
question in there. It was more of just a rambling,
It's just talking,
statement.
man.
No.
Come on now.
We like that. That's how we do it, Shane. And I think I appreciate that point, because I wanted to hit on the fact you mentioned earlier and just now, does this apply to successful entrepreneurs? And I think, ironically enough, Parker and I are, I'm doing air quotes now, successful entrepreneurs. And again, it applies to us. This company has to evolve with us, because at the core of the company, it's Parker and I trying to solve our problems, man. We're 29-year-olds. Parker's married. I'm trying to find a wife. Like, we're talking about the problems that young people are going through, young entrepreneurs that are going through the same exact thing. And so while we're now one step ahead of where we used to be, so people can look up to us, I'm also right where I need help, right? Like I'm figuring stuff out. Like I don't know exactly what's next. I'm about to enter my third decade of my life. Like that's a weird change. I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of emotions. Do I need to take a step back and rethink through my mindset? And yes, Shane, you are successful. And we've had many successful entrepreneurs like yourself on who they have reached that peak, that pinnacle. I know you have a successful business. Maybe it's you have taken a step back and go, my mindset was X a few years ago, but now I'm in a different spot. Maybe I have a different purpose. And I think interestingly enough, many of our elevators that are uber successful, they reach that point of hitting the pinnacle and go, now what?
Can I
and
tell
they
you
go
what,
right back to how they felt before. Yeah, go ahead.
well, it's right in line. Can I tell you exactly what I'm doing? Because I'm at a point where my business runs itself, where Vin talks about that I don't have a job because I don't do anything because
True, he doesn't do anything.
it's a well-oiled machine, which is great. I know I could leave my company for 2 years and it would be more profitable by the time that I got back, which is great. However, the purpose, the vigor, it's gone. So what do I do when I can't figure out something? What do I do when I'm in a current bottleneck that I'm not able to overcome mentally? I hire people that have been in that situation before to help me get out of it. So I don't know if that's a helpful tip, but I now have
It
3
is.
business coaches, including Vin, to help me get to where I need to be mentally. And I think that's just a huge shout out once again to bringing it back to the fortitude as the staple and your why, whether it's you've accomplished that and you need to reestablish that and where you want it to be. But anyways,
Can I hijack your episode for 1 second? Because I want to ask you guys a question that I think we already asked Vin real quick. To your point, Shane, we talk all the time. We have these people on the podcast who we call elevators, right? Same mindset of wanting to get the most out of life, climb the ranks, be successful. Do you believe that having that mindset is a blessing or a curse? And the reason I say that is it's gotten you to where you are, but it also means that we will never be satisfied and content. Like you could have just said you made it and now you can chill and like go golf every day, but you have an elevator mindset. You need to find something else. You need that new purpose.
so I think it's not as singular as just answering it to be, but to give you context of where it is, I'm 36. I am a true born hustler. I like building things and seeing what's going wrong and learning from failure. I'm not financially driven. I'm successfully driven. So I like seeing things and putting it to the next level. And then I have shiny object syndrome. Like, ooh, that looks like fun. Ooh, let's test that thing out. So it's a difficult answer to give, but I know that if I went to that perspective and I figuratively speak, sold my business for $50 million, what would I do? If I played golf for longer than 2 weeks, which I love golfing, I'd probably kill myself because now I don't have a purpose. After a month, I'd feel broke because I don't have any income coming in on a monthly basis. Doesn't matter if I have 50 million in the bank, I'll feel broke. Then worst of all, I don't have a purpose. What is my value in life? What am I put on this planet to do? Which is the hardest question to answer, especially when I've been married for 15 years and have 2 beautiful kids with amazing lifestyle. But then again, what am I doing? What's my need to help other people to get where it is? Which you guys and Vin have a very clear set message. I want to do blank for blank. It's a great, beautiful message. I don't have that. I think it's very hard to just, come up with it like that and truly live by it and breathe it. It's hard to find that passion. I know that doesn't answer your immediate question, but it can't be as singular as it's a curse or it's a blessing.
I think it could be.
Maybe I'm making it more difficult than I need to be then.
I think you are. I think it's as simple as like understanding that life is meaningless. And the fact that life is meaningless means that we have the opportunity to make anything mean anything that we want. And so it's a curse if you believe it to be, but it's a blessing if you want it to be. And I think everything in life really comes down to that, right? Because if you actually distill all logic in life down to the core of what it is, everything is philosophical. Why do we think murder's wrong? Well, because we have a collective agreement where most people feel morally, ethically, and emotionally terrible about committing a murder.
You could
But
have
you
gone
might get
any
that
direction.
one.
You went with
What's that?
murder. You went
Yeah,
with murder.
committing murder. Yeah, what would you call it? Committing what? Committing
I'm
tax
just saying
fraud?
you could have gone with any sort of analogy. You went with murder.
Theft.
Is murder
I
wrong?
want to go with the most extreme, right? Because the reason is that it illustrates that everything becomes philosophical. Because as a collective society, we'll agree that murder is wrong, right? And then all of a sudden, you're going to see a story on the news of someone who's touched a child, and then everybody's like, kill that guy.
Okay.
And so now we have actually everyone's kind of in agreement that we should kill someone. So it's really everything comes down to what meaning you make of things. That's why Shane is right, but he's wrong in my opinion. Of like, it's hard to give a definitive answer, but I think it's actually very easy if you know what you morally, ethically, and just in generally accept and believe and decide the meaning of your life and your purposes. And if you do that, everything could be as simple as a black and white if you want it to be, or you could sit and get to really wild debates with your mind. People think that they're good thinkers, but there's a lot that actually goes into being a good thinker. And most people are not good thinkers. Most people are very okay at generally thinking things through without ever getting to the core foundations of what their thoughts and beliefs actually are. And that's not an easy process to get to. So that's my take. With that being said, we actually are coming up to the end here. So I want to make sure that we get to the last part of how we typically end off our podcast by throwing these questions at you guys, because we got 3 left for you. One of them being, this show is called the 1% Podcast, not because of the fact that we're billionaires, but because of the fact that we believe that there is a 1% version of everything in life. You could be a 1% cake maker, a 1% father, 1% entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. So we like to ask everybody that's on here, what is your version of a 1% life?
I think for me, my version of a 1% life, and it's going to go with a lot of what we're talking about, is knowing that purpose and being able to live that out with how I want to live it out, right? And I think Sam and I are on a journey, or I'll talk about myself. I'm on my own journey to get there in a sense, It's amazing that we get to work at an incredible company that's building up Elevation Nation. It's amazing that we have incredible people around us supporting us, but I don't think we're there yet. We have a mission to inspire 1 million people to live a life of mental fortitude so that they can go conquer the real world. And my version of a 1% life is being able to live that every single day without the distractions that come from the things that don't necessarily relate to that. But some of those distractions obviously being for good, right? Like family and friends time. Sam knows that fun is a core pillar of the way I live my life. And once you get rid of fun, what meaning do I have in my life? I have nothing. Life is meant to be lived and have a good time. But I think that there's other things pulling me in directions that I'm working at to try to get rid of. And maybe they'll never go away. Maybe they just become new forms. But that's the 1% life I want to live, is being able to live my purpose every single day.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Sam, are you going to answer that one too, or do you want me to throw the next question at you?
Go the next one, because I know we're tight on time and I've been in your shoes where you're trying to wrap it up, but I have an answer. It's very similar to Parker's, so I think we're good.
All right. Ditto. So with that being said, the next question is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Mentor and be mentored. I think for a long time, especially when I was younger, I thought I just had to search for these mentors everywhere. And I didn't realize that there were people maybe a couple steps below me that were desperately searching for my mentorship too. And luckily, I think I learned that skill pretty early on, maybe, junior, senior year of high school, when there were the freshmen coming in to the basketball team, had no idea what was going on, big school, new world. And I was able to learn that mentoring brought me immense joy and fulfillment. But I think if you are giving advice, you better be open to taking advice too. And so to me, that is the best piece of advice is throughout my entire life, no matter how old I get, I want mentors in my life and I want to be able to give back to other people and mentor them.
I love that. I think a lot of people don't understand their life as a staircase. And if you're on stair number 3, you can mentor people, maybe even at 3, but definitely 2, 1, and the people who haven't even stepped on the staircase yet. So many times we focus on the fact that we're not on stair 10, so I can't mentor the person on stair number 2, but it's like, yes, you can, because you've at least a little bit further than them. So I love that, because that's one of my favorite analogies too, is just getting to this understanding that there's always somewhere that you fit within the staircase of life. Okay, last but most certainly not least, and hopefully the question on everyone's mind, how can people get in touch? How can they find you? Where can people get connected? Do you have anything you want to shout out? Please pitch and promote yourself to the audience. Audience,
Amazing.
Get pitched.
Sam gets to do this in her keynote, so I'm going to try to do it here. So obviously we have a podcast. We've recorded 400 episodes to date. We release an episode every Tuesday with a new elevator. That's a conversation similar to this, all about how they utilize their mental fortitude to go conquer the real world. And then every Thursday, Sam and I release an episode, just 15 minutes, and me and him talking about what's going on in our life and how we're using mental fortitude. So that's every Tuesday and Thursday. That can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. And then on top of that, obviously, we're posting on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Reels, getting the name out. But more importantly, LinkedIn. Sam and I have a competition right now. First person to 5,000 followers gets $1,000. And the other person has to pay them. And we're trying to feed each other. So I think LinkedIn is a place we're really starting to post a lot more. And then, of course, if you want to get in touch with us, DM us, go to our website, email us. Like, we're around. We love interacting with people, and we'd love to hear from you.
And please follow Sam Panitch on LinkedIn, not Parker Avalon. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I get in on that LinkedIn competition?
It's fun.
Yeah.
You got to be already at 5,000, Vin.
No. Just let's shake hands, and then you guys could check how many followers I have.
I can only imagine you have. All right, now I'm not gonna look.
I love it, guys. There you have it, folks. You got the gentleman from Elevation Nation hanging out here, talking about mental fortitude, giving you the sauce, the frameworks. Go figure out your mental motto. I almost messed that one up. Go figure that one out. And then, as always, when you're checking out the episode, drop a comment. Let us know what your mental motto is. I'd love to say it. I'm sure these guys would love to say it, because once their episode's released, we'll let them know. But please, as always, like, share, follow, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you thought. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Sam and Parker, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciated having you here and getting all the wisdom that you brought with you from Elevation Nation.
Appreciate you guys.
Of course. Well, guys, as always, I'm your host, Vin, and
I'm Shane.
that was Sam and Parker. See you, everybody.
Bye, guys.